Minister, the number of abortions has jumped a devastating 25% just in the last year. 8,500 unborn children were aborted last year, and this figure is nearly triple the rate that it was in 2017. And that proves that the predictions made by human rights campaigners in 2018 that the legislation, if implemented, would see a massive increase in lost lives. Now, in the 4 years since the law was put into place, 31,000 babies have been aborted. This is the equivalent to the population of Kilkenny City. And for most people, this is truly heartbreaking. 98% of those abortions were carried out on healthy mothers and healthy children, according to information from your own department. The vast majority of people, no matter what way they voted for in the referendum 5 years ago, will see this loss of human life a real human tragedy. Now, this month saw the publication of the Abortion Review, and this review shocked most people in society. It was devoid of humanity and it was devoid of compassion. In many ways, the review reads like a checklist for abortion campaigners, and obviously has been welcomed wholeheartedly in this chamber by pro-abortion political parties. And the report has obviously shocked a number of people in government as well. There is no real mention of unborn children within the review. There seems to be no consideration of the child whatsoever. It doesn't seem to ask why so many mothers are having abortions. Now, the Committee on the Eighth Amendment heard testimony from witnesses that stated that 85% of abortions that happen are because of socio-economic reasons. That mothers, because of the economic pressures that they are in, feel that they have no choice but to proceed with an abortion. And indeed, every year we see dozens of mothers who are homeless and pregnant in this state. But there's no analysis of any of that in the recommendations of this particular report, and no suggestions of any supports that should be put in place for mothers to give them the economic confidence to be able to raise their child to their full potential. So heartbreakingly, throughout this whole process, if we don't grapple with this issue, we're going to see thousands of austerity abortions continue in the years ahead. And we see queues of mothers and their babies outside of homeless and food shelters throughout the country. It's just a pity the review didn't seek to interview those mothers about their particular circumstances. Incredibly, the review as well didn't have anything to say about the 133 women who have sued the state as a result of adverse incidents that have happened in their lives. And indeed, Minister, I've spoken to you about this before, issues such as in the National Maternity Hospital, where that hospital falsely diagnosed baby Christopher, who was a healthy baby, as having a fetal fatal abnormality or a life-limiting condition, and then proceeded to end that child's life in a late-term abortion. The law was broken in that situation because only one obstetrician examined Christopher's mother, but the review seeks to make this the norm in all cases. So in many ways, the review seeks to reduce the level of care, the quality of care that mothers receive. The bill that we're discussing today looks to delete the three-day consideration time. Now, this decision is a decision of extraordinary magnitude. It is an irreversible decision. The baby cannot be brought back after an abortion happens. Now, that enormity of that decision should allow for some time to think it through. The human condition is we all make mistakes. There's nobody in this chamber or anybody listening to this debate that hasn't made a significant mistake in their lives. And we tend to make significant mistakes when we're in situations of crisis or pressure. And a 3-day wait time to allow for consideration is important. Now, I'm listening to the proponents of this bill say that abortion is healthcare. Now, yet 90% of doctors refuse to carry out abortions. Half of hospitals refuse to carry out abortions. I'd ask you to tell me of any other piece of healthcare where 90% of doctors refuse to deliver and half of doctors also refuse to deliver as well. The vast majority of doctors want to save lives, not end lives. And I believe this bill puts pressure on doctors and nurses in terms of that. And the other issue is the deletion of all criminal sanctions. And this, in many ways, will leave no real sanction to prevent an abortion, which will allow for abortion in many ways up until birth. Again, an issue which will shock many, many people. Just a few short years ago, the government persuaded many people to vote for the abortion referendum by promising safeguards within a system. Now it seems that the government is looking to get rid of those safeguards, to renege on those promises. But the truth is, if we couldn't trust the government on housing, on the health service, on evictions, or the cost of living, why should we trust them on the human right to life either?